Hello, English learners. Welcome back to English Pods. I am Leonardo.
Whoa! Good morning, students. And I'm Elizabeth.
Today, we are diving into something a little different, like really different.
Different good or different,
Oh, definitely different good. Today, we are exploring an essential topic for anyone looking to excel in English. Ever find yourself wondering, what's the point of all this education? Is it just to, get a good job and make money, or is there something more to it?
It's a question that's been around forever, right?
Yeah. And in this deep dive, we're going to try to unpack that. We've got this super interesting article here called, Do We Go to School and Study for Money or Education? And we're really going to explore both sides of this whole debate.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fascinating topic because it really makes us think about what matters most. What are our priorities? The article argues that education should be the main goal, not just as a means to an end, but for its own sake.
I can definitely relate to that. Do you remember back in school when you'd finally understand a new concept? That feeling was amazing.
Oh, yeah, totally. Like a
Yeah.
light bulb moment. And the article really emphasizes that idea, developing knowledge and skills, not just for a specific career, but for life in general.
Yeah, like you're learning how to learn, basically.
Exactly. It's like you're building this mental toolbox, right? And the more tools you have, the more you can adapt, the more you can problem solve, no matter what challenges come your way.
That's a really good analogy. So it's not just about filling your head with facts.
No, it's about developing those thinking skills.
Right. And the article also talks about how education shapes our character and our values. Things like discipline and teamwork, empathy.
Oh, absolutely. Those qualities, they're gold in any situation. Whether it's in the workplace or just in your personal life, they help you build strong relationships, make good decisions, contribute to your community.
It's like you're becoming a better person, a more well-rounded person through education.
I think that's a great way to put it.
But okay, let's be real. We can't ignore the money part of the equation.
Yeah, true. That's the elephant in the room.
College is expensive, and there's so much pressure to see it as like an investment, right?
Yeah, you got to get a return on that investment.
Exactly. Like some of my friends chose their majors based on what they thought would pay the most, even if it wasn't something they were actually passionate about.
And that's a tough position to be in, because while the article acknowledges that, a good education can boost your earning potential, and yeah, a lot of people see a good job as the key to a stable life.
Definitely. So are we saying that a good education is like a path to financial security?
Yeah.
But should money be the only reason we seek knowledge?
Yeah.
This article is making me think about whether chasing money alone can actually backfire.
Right, and the article touches on this too. It suggests that if you just focus on the money, you might actually limit yourself in the long run, miss out on opportunities that maybe better align with your passions.
Yeah, what if you end up in a job you hate, but it pays well?
Exactly. It's like, what's the cost of that compromise? You could spend years climbing the corporate ladder in a field that just doesn't fulfill you.
Wow, that's a powerful point. It's really making me think differently about success. What if real fulfillment comes from finding a place where your passions and your skills and the financial stability all kind of line up together?
Yeah, finding that sweet spot. And that's where I think the idea of lifelong learning comes in.
Yeah.
The article really emphasizes that education shouldn't stop when you graduate. It's about cultivating that curiosity and that desire to learn and grow no matter what age you are or what career path you're on.
So even if you don't land your dream job right away, you can still keep learning new things and expanding your skills and create new opportunities for yourself.
Exactly. It's about staying adaptable and open to new possibilities.
But then what happens if all that education doesn't lead to a job that pays well? I mean, we see that sometimes, right?
Right. And the article acknowledges that. Sometimes, the pursuit of knowledge for its own sake might not align perfectly with the demands of the job market.
It's a tough balance.
Yeah.
How do we figure that out?
It really is. How do we reconcile these two seemingly opposing forces? The intrinsic value of learning and that practical need to make a living.
Right, because we can't just ignore the practicalities of life.
Absolutely. And we'll delve into that more after a quick break. Stay tuned. So before the break, we were talking about how sometimes education might not translate directly into, a high-paying job.
Yeah, and it makes you think about all the other pressures that come into play too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Like the whole issue of rising education costs, that's a huge one.
It feels like it's getting harder and harder to afford good education these days.
It is, and it's a real concern, because it can push people towards fields that they think will guarantee them a high salary, even if those fields aren't really where their heart is.
Yeah, like they feel like they have to prioritize the financial security over their passions.
Right. It's like that pressure to be financially stable kind of overshadows the pursuit of knowledge for its own sake. And the article talks about that too, how sometimes societal expectations can really influence people's choices.
Oh, totally. Like family and friends. Sometimes even entire communities put so much emphasis on money
Yeah.
as like the measure of success.
Yeah, and we internalize those expectations often without even realizing it. It's like there's this unspoken script we're all supposed to follow: get good grades, go to a good college, land a high-paying job, and then you've made it.
Right. Like that's the definition of success.
Exactly. But what if that script doesn't work for everyone? What if there are other ways to define a good life?
Right. Like what about personal fulfillment or purpose or contributing to something bigger than yourself? Do those things matter too?
Those are the questions we need to be asking. And the article brings up another really important point. Even with a degree, there's no guarantee of financial stability these days.
Oh, yeah. Talks about that, doesn't it? The issue of unemployment, even among educated individuals.
It's tough. People invest so much time and money into their education, sometimes even going into debt, and then they face a job market that's super competitive, where their skills might not be in high demand.
It's almost like a betrayal, you know? Like they were promised that education was the key to a secure future, but
But it doesn't always work out that way, does it? And we definitely want to acknowledge that, but I think it's important to remember that this deep dive is about awareness, not discouragement.
right. We're not trying to scare people, but to give them a realistic picture. And hopefully that awareness can help them make more informed decisions.
Exactly. And maybe even inspire them to create their own path, one that's more aligned with their values and goals. And, going back to the article, it's not about choosing money or education.
It's about finding that balance, right?
Yes, finding that sweet spot where you can pursue knowledge and personal growth, but also build a life that's financially sustainable.
And that balance is going to look different for everyone, isn't it?
Of course, it depends on your individual circumstances, your passions, your tolerance for risk. But the article suggests that a strong educational foundation can actually make you more adaptable, especially in a job market that's constantly changing.
So it's almost like education is an investment in your future adaptability.
Yes, exactly. And, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about being able to learn and adapt throughout life. The skills that you develop through education, critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, those are skills that you can apply in so many different areas.
So even if your first job isn't your dream job,
Mhm.
those skills are still going to be valuable. They'll help you evolve and grow and take on new opportunities as they come up.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the idea of lifelong learning, right? Education doesn't have to stop when you graduate.
Right, like it's about staying curious, seeking out new knowledge, and expanding your horizon.
Whether that's through formal courses or reading or even just having conversations with people who have different perspectives than you, it's about staying open to learning new things.
Yeah.
And it makes you think, again, what are we ultimately studying for? Is it just the financial reward or is there something deeper there?
I mean, after all this discussion, it seems like it's way more complicated than just choosing one or the other.
It is. It's a complex issue. But, we've seen how money and education are intertwined, how good education can lead to better financial opportunities, but also how financial literacy is important for making smart decisions about your education.
It's like they each influence each other, right?
It's a constant balancing act, for sure.
And the article talks about how important it is for society to value both knowledge and economic well-being.
It's about creating an environment where people have the resources and the opportunities to pursue their passions,
Yeah.
to develop their talents.
And to contribute to society in a meaningful way.
Exactly. It's not about pitting money against education. It's about recognizing the value of both and finding a way to integrate them into a life that's meaningful and sustainable.
Which brings us to a really crucial point.
Okay.
This conversation isn't over just because this deep dive is ending.
Right. It's just the beginning, really.
It's about asking yourself those tough questions like, what are your priorities? What kind of life do you want to create for yourself?
And how can you build a path that's truly aligned with your values?
And there's so many different paths you can take.
There are. Think about your strengths, your passions, your financial goals, the kind of impact you want to make. And don't be afraid to think outside the box. There are so many resources available both within traditional education systems and beyond.
Like libraries, online courses, mentorships, even just following your own curiosity can lead you to some amazing discoveries.
It's true. The world is your classroom if you're open to it. So as we move towards the final part of this deep dive, we want to encourage you to challenge those assumptions, explore different perspectives.
And remember, you're in control of your own learning journey.
That's where the real power lies. And we'll be right back to wrap up this conversation and explore even more nuances of this fascinating topic.
So we've talked a lot about this idea of balance,
Yeah,
you know, like between learning for its own sake and needing to make a living.
it's a tricky balance for sure.
But it seems like the main takeaway from this whole conversation is that it's not really about choosing one or the other.
Exactly. It's not about money or education. It's about figuring out how they can work together.
Right. And the article, Do We Go to School and Study for Money or Education? It really makes you think about how we view education.
Yeah.
Like, is it just a stepping stone to a good job? Or is it something more than that?
I think it has to be more than that, right?
Yeah, like it's about developing all those skills we've been talking about. Critical thinking, curiosity, problem solving.
Those are the things that help you grow as a person, not just as an employee.
And don't forget about social emotional intelligence. That's so important too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Understanding your own emotions, being sensitive to others, being able to build strong relationships.
Those skills are valuable no matter what you do in life.
For sure.
And beyond all the practical stuff, there's also that feeling you get when you learn something new. You know what I mean?
Like that aha moment.
Yes. It's exciting. It makes you want to keep learning more.
It's like that thirst for knowledge, right? It's what keeps us going.
Exactly.
Mm.
But we can't ignore the realities of life either. I mean, we all need to make a living.
Right. And the article doesn't sugarcoat it. It talks about how expensive education is and how sometimes even a degree doesn't guarantee a good job.
Yeah, it's tough out there. But the article also points out that education can open doors to those opportunities.
Mm.
It gives you the skills to be competitive, to adapt to new industries, even to start your own business.
And that's where financial literacy comes in too, right?
Oh, definitely. You got to know how money works,
Yeah.
how to manage your finances, make smart investments. That's all part of it.
It is. It's all connected. Education can lead to better financial opportunities, and understanding finances can help you make better decisions about your education.
It's like this constant feedback loop.
It is. They feed into each other.
And remember those examples we talked about, Einstein and Elon Musk, two very different approaches to success, but both driven by a passion for knowledge and a desire to make a difference.
Right. It shows that there's no one right way to do things. You have to find what works for you.
Find your own balance between what you're passionate about and what's practical.
Exactly. And I think that's what we want listeners to take away from this deep dive. It's not about finding the definitive answer to this age-old question about money versus education.
It's about asking the right questions, exploring different perspectives.
Figuring out what matters most to you and
Yeah.
then crafting a path that aligns with your values and your goals.
And remember, this is just the beginning. Keep learning, keep exploring, keep pushing yourself.
The world is full of opportunities if you're open to them.
And that's it for this deep dive. We hope you enjoyed it.
And we'll see you next time for another exciting exploration into the world of knowledge and ideas.